It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks for being here. You know what I'm getting sick of? What? Every day is another special day, especially on social media. I mean, this week it's been what? Son's Day, Daughter's Day, Aunt Day, Uncle Day. Every day is a different day.
Yeah.
And, I know the one that put me over the top,
Morning
Show Radio Day. And I figured I would do this now for all the people going in.
Yeah.
doing
well, we know
shows.
that's a load of crap.
Morning Show Radio Day.
Everybody
Celebrate.
put on their cargo shorts and Hawaiian shirts.
What about Overnight Radio Day? Nobody celebrates that.
For a reason.
That's the kind of discrimination that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
But
Leave us alone.
I saw all my friends that are, and acquaintances that do morning shows across the country. It's Morning Show Day.
Yeah.
Morning Show Radio Day. And it's a Son's Day. And then somebody was saying, I forgot what it was, Son's Day or Daughter's Day or Niece Day or Third Cousin Day or whatever it was. And somebody's like, you jumped the gun. That's tomorrow. It was like, well, there's every day is something else now, and I'm losing track of it.
You know what I heard? I heard today is walk in front of a stranger and take a selfie day. Out of nowhere day. Make that happen. What are you doing? Who are you? Yeah.
I've never had something? I've never had a day.
Well, here's the thing. How much do you really care if all you're doing is saying, hey, I recognize these people, some of whom are supposed to be the, most important people in your life, and all you do is give them a Facebook post? Yeah. Did you go out and buy a card, a cake, anything? Did you take them to dinner?
Where's my day?
Yeah, where's the pictures of the dinner?
I want my
What about
day.
the award?
Why can't there be a Gary Day? That'd be the next thing. Name, just days for people's names. It's Gary Day.
National Gary Day.
It's National Gary Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not individual enough. I want Gary McNamara Day.
Yeah. Aside from National Donut Day, I really don't pay attention. I really don't. It's not a. If you have daughters, every day is Daughter Day.
Or, there's a National Cat Day. There's an International Cat Day. So that's the thing now. You have to celebrate national and then international.
Well, there's a International Women's Day. I don't know any international women, but they have a day for it.
Is there a Men's Day?
Nope.
Why not?
They'll say, well, see, all the other days are.
We contribute.
I don't know that I'd celebrate that.
Some. We continue.
Yeah.
We help in some ways.
I don't think there's anything to celebrate when it comes to guys. Instead of celebrate, it's more tolerate. It's the, okay, fine. Good job. Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to say, how come, we should have, every day should be National Teacher Day to honor our teachers. Just something like that. Or doctors, National Doctor Day. Or
I tried to, get into the whole, it's National Talk Like a Pirate Day. I walked into Walgreens screaming, I am the captain now. And see, I was trying to bring it up to the modern pirates.
Uh-huh.
Nobody was amused.
Nobody's going to join it now.
Wrong kind of pirate, I guess.
Yeah. And there actually is Talk Like a Pirate Day, just so people know.
Yep.
So I don't know why it was the last couple of weeks. It's like every day is another day. There was a Seinfeld episode on that, remember?
Yeah.
Every day was a different day, and they were baking cakes, and Elaine was gaining weight.
And it's this cause and that cause and all the causes, and we have sometimes a whole month. And do you show up? Is there a breakfast every day, or is there a requirement? Is there a minimum? This cause month. Okay, today it's I don't know, or this month is National Teachers Month, National Heart Health Awareness Month.
Yeah, I don't think about my heart the rest of the month, but I really focus on it that month.
Yeah.
How come it's not National? What about National Spleen Month?
There's never a spleen month.
When I met my doctor the other day.
What about International Forehead Week?
When I was at the doctor the other day, he takes a stethoscope and he's listening, and I'm like, well, what are you listening for here? And I actually told him I saw a Becker once where he had it on, whatever the vein is in the neck, and he heard a whoosh, and he knew something was wrong. Was that fiction or true? And he goes, oh, that's true. I was like, oh, okay, I just wondered. And then he gets down, to the abdomen, he's feeling under your ribs. I go, what are you looking for there? And he goes, checking the size of your kidney. And then he goes to your ribs, and he starts going, with the thumb, bump, 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 bump. He goes, okay, basically this is the size of your, not kidney, your liver, and your liver's fine. And then I said, and then he reaches the other side under the rib. I go, what are you looking for there? And he goes, your spleen. I go, well, do you feel it? And he goes, no, if I did, you'd be in big trouble. It'd be 5 times the size it should. You'd be going right to the emergency room. Mm-hmm. And so it was all interesting, as the doctor.
My doctor prefers not to touch me, but to use modern imaging.
You mean I got to be worried now?
Well,
what was my doctor doing?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Well, then he pulled the leeches out.
Methods have changed.
He pulled the leeches out, and then we, took some blood, and
then you went to the general store for some supplies. Got back on the wagon and went home. Yeah.
And I built my cabin.
Can I get some sarsaparilla? How about some licorice whips? I just went to the doctor. He gave me good news. Said my spleen is fine.
Talking about buddies over the weekend, we're talking about old Westerns, and it's like, these gunfighters were really stupid drinking whiskey before they went out.
Yeah, right.
To shoot their guns.
Right.
And I said, no, wait a minute. Remember, though? They did recognize it because there were some Westerns. Remember, there was like the soda pop kid. It's like, okay, that was smart.
Right. Yeah.
You may lose a little bit of your hand-eye coordination, which in your profession is an extremely important thing to have.
Yeah, I would think you'd want to be accurate. Yeah.
And quick.
Yeah. Fast on the draw.
All right, so there's my little complaint portion of the show. Too many days on social media.
Pretty much what we do all show, every show, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. All right, now this is really interesting. Wall Street Journal had this, that Hunter Biden may face a big tax bill. Now, this is really interesting. And because they talk about the fact that the statute of limitations on all this stuff hasn't run out. He goes, House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer said he has received suspicious activity reports with the Treasury Department indicating Hunter Biden received as much as $50 million from sources in China, Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, Romania, and more. This is vastly larger than the amounts the whistleblowers have testified were shown on the federal income tax returns he filed for those years. House committee members allege that he concealed his ownership of those funds by having them funneled into dozens of entities. Ordinarily, the IRS must assess taxes and begin proceedings to collect them within 3 years of the date the return reporting them is filed. But when no return is filed, or when the return is false, fraudulent, or otherwise represents a willful attempt to defeat or evade taxes, the statute of limitations does not start running. Where Hunter Biden and others engaged in a conspiracy to conceal their income and its sources, that's a question. Where are the bank accounts for the 20 or so entities the Oversight Committee believes Mr. Biden and his business partners established? The agents claim to have been thwarted in their efforts. If they hadn't been, what might have they discovered. Well, that's a great point. Do they know, if they know the 20 LLCs, is there a record, as we have said, of them being opened and who opened them and how much money flowed through? Right. Those banking records are still there. They don't go away.
Oh, yeah.
And it says as to the possible criminal charges, note that the statute of limitations begins to run when the last affirmative act of concealment occurs. So, if income is received in year 1 and not reported, the last action undertaken to conceal it occurred in year 5. It is in year 5 that the statute of limitations begin to run. It would be an error to conclude that the statute of limitations on criminal charges has expired without considering other acts of concealment prevented or delayed its start date. In fulfillment of its oversight obligation, Congress must continue its efforts to see that the laws it has passed are enforced.
Mm-hmm.
And, wait a minute.
What?
I didn't even know. I thought this was the editorial page. This is Eileen O'Connor, who will testify today.
Mm.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
She's testifying in the first day of the impeachment inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why when I saw this, I thought it was the editorial page.
Mm.
This is an op-ed from Eileen O'Connor, Washington lawyer, headed the U.S. Justice Department's Tax Division 2001 to 2007, and is one of 3 witnesses today before the impeachment inquiry.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's the way to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Okay, the pressure has to be growing.
Well, what they released yesterday and the $250,000 now going to the president's address
and look
in
at
Delaware.
What's going on with the left in recent days and weeks. The shift and the increase in the calling for him to not run in 2024. You look at everything that's going to be presented, you can't stop this train. It's already left the station. It's already on the tracks. And the facts are the facts. This is not the January 6th committee.
It's not Russia collusion.
It's not Russia collusion.
It's not even impeachment one.
It's not impeachment one here. It's you look at everything they've got lined up, and who knows what else they're going to bring. We've been saying the flow of the money.
Well, I think the problem is the reason, and you and I talked about this yesterday and earlier today, but Menendez, every day there's another Democrat that wants him gone.
You know, if he steps down this morning,
wow,
that will be a tell.
Well, because Republicans are going to, I've already seen like 4 different stories comparing Menendez to the Trump situation, to the Biden situation.
Yeah. Look, his home state now, and Cory Booker, the other senator in New Jersey.
Yep.
Step down. Get out.
Because when the focus is on bribery and you're looking at Menendez, the comparison is going to be made because all these now, over the next couple of months, you're going to have this impeachment inquiry that could go on for 6 months because they're just asking questions.
Right.
Like the January 6th committee. We're going to have a public hearing today. 3 weeks, another public hearing. 3 weeks, another public hearing. You can keep this thing running and running and running and running as more information comes out on Menendez, and they're going to make that comparison. That's scaring the daylights out of Democrats right now. 866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Many people believe U.S. farmland purchases by foreign interests pose a threat to U.S. food security and national security. But what should be done about it? Should there be a total ban on foreign investments in U.S. farmland? Are we even able to detect or track those investments in the first place?
We agree that there are incredibly important issues and look forward to working with Congress to address them.
That's USDA Deputy Undersecretary Gloria Montano Green testifying at a Senate Ag Committee hearing on this Wednesday. And earlier in the week, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack talked about this with reporters at the White House, saying that USDA has the job of tracking land ownership changes, but it's a very complex job given the current system.
Every county has their county recorder, and on any given day, somebody may walk into that recorder's office and file a deed, and there's no way of knowing precisely whether or not that is a Chinese purchaser. So we would need to work on how we might be able to collect the information and be able to analyze that information in a timely way.
He said USDA needs more resources to be able to do that. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Friday Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Sorry, just looking here, and coming up on the bottom of the hour, we'll get more into just the not really analysis of the debate, but just where we are right now and whether the debate even matters. But I was just going through a couple of things here. Some new articles out. A quick second debate scorecard recapping the chaotic, poorly moderated event at the Reagan Library. This debate was chaotic, poorly moderated, and plagued by the Univision anchors trying to push the candidates to the left. An odd and off-putting presence for a Republican debate on Fox at the Reagan Library. Here are my very quick reactions. One of the things is, Christie and DeSantis hit him for not being there.
Right.
And DeSantis hit him, for example, on abortion. And I guess Christie hit him on only getting 52 miles done on the border wall. As I've said, the problem here right now is most Republicans think the same. 95% they think the same, and the other 5% that you saw at the debate last night is the minutia of things that really aren't the things that's most important on the mind of the voter. And the other thing is no one said Trump is unelectable because of the indictments, because over the past couple of weeks, the narrative has changed because especially of the panic of the Democrats because of that one poll.
Right.
And they may have internal polls. So it's like if you can't go after the guy who's got 45 to 55% of the actual vote of Republicans, and you won't go after them, then you're fighting for at most 4 or 5% of the electorate by defeating another candidate. And so you're in a time right now where Republicans need to be unified on the message right now, and you're not getting it because what you're going to get is that headline right there. The debate was chaotic, poorly moderated, and, of course, Univision anchor there, which is why, this is where, Fox or whatever, they'll blow it.
Yep.
They'll find a way to get it to the left.
Yep. Yeah. It will be interesting to watch how all of this starts to. I really have to wonder, by the way, how many right now are looking at that poll that may well be an outlier and believe that poll that shows Trump is leading Joe Biden may have something to it. I just have to ask that question with some of the behavior on the left. Look, we know right now, we know for a fact that Democrats are concerned and they don't want Joe Biden to be the guy. If we're not even to October of 23 yet.
Yeah.
And I think they look at the clock and say, if someone else is going to be on that stage, they need time to raise money and have a campaign going.
It's amazing. We're 13 months out, and it seems like we're a lot closer, doesn't it?
It really does.
Feel like it's like it's next month or something.
Right.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Hurley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Couple of things if you're just waking up. The Democrats in the Senate unanimously voted out the Chuck Schumer Fetterman can be a slob rule. Fetterman will now have to put on some pants and a shirt and a tie.
He's going to have to get dressed.
It's got to get dressed. I like that one.
By the way, our friend Greg Tisch,
Yes.
is he wrote me, and it's a true story. Today is National Drink Beer Day. That I'm on board for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Low carb? Light?
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. I think it's just beer in general.
Okay.
Greg Tisch, he's on right after us.
Thanks.
Real
Thanks,
Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee, Florida.
Oh, happy morning show, morning radio show
Greg.
day.
Yeah. Happy morning show host, radio morning show.
I'm sure that's changed his entire mood, and now he's going into work with all this enthusiasm because it's a day where they can celebrate the morning show.
And drink beer.
And drink beer. I like that.
It works. I looked it up because I thought, well, why isn't that the same day as National Pretzel Day? National Pretzel Day is in April.
So no more slobs in the Senate.
You got to get dressed.
Yep. And it was unanimous. Schumer voted against what he put in last week. That's how much pressure there is.
Schumer.
And then the other thing that we know is that the order that the Biden administration put into effect a couple of weeks ago that would deny federal funding to any school that has any type of hunting safety course and or archery programs. You would be denied federal aid 424-1. That was defeated in the House and unanimous in the Senate. Voted against the Biden administration and that education department ruling.
Yep.
And that's veto proof.
Right.
So that's done. And Eric and I looked at both of those and went, whoa. Democrats are scared. For Democrats to vote for funding schools that have hunting safety programs, which is about guns, gun safety programs in school, guns and school, and Democrats don't vote against it?
There's a couple of things here
Wow.
that I'll say on that front. One of the things that we've talked about on a number of issues, the liberal transgender movement, especially in school sports, and I think we could probably add this to it. One of the things the Democrats thought or didn't, I guess, realize is that you're not taking on Republicans, you're taking on parents.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. You're not going to win it with parents. And I just have to wonder on a number of these cultural issues what might be turning very quickly or have already turned politically that they can see in the Democratic Party. And maybe they're not. Maybe they're just hearing from constituents and it's just kind of an anecdotal feedback. But we're talking in the Senate, unanimous. That's, I mean, you look at that, the pushback on Fetterman. That's unanimous.
Nobody in the Senate, not one Democrat, wanted Fetterman to be a slob.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. We could kind of make that a parent issue. I mean, kids have to, there's a dress code.
It's true.
Even if you don't wear a uniform, even if there aren't uniforms in that school. Think about it. Wait a minute. There's a dress code everywhere else, and all of a sudden there's not a dress code for one guy on the floor in the Senate? But I do wonder what the left is seeing, what the Democratic Party is seeing right now. I'd love to see that. Are they seeing right now a lot of their base saying, you're not going to get me to show up on Election Day? I'm really not excited about Biden. Voter apathy is a real thing. And when it hits hard, it can be devastating to a party. And if young people and independents are not on board for the agenda from the left, are they reading into that poll, that Washington Post poll the other day, that shows in the general election, Trump would beat Biden by 10 points? It could be an outlier, but are they seeing anything that correlates that? I'm real curious as to what's going on. It's not just, it is an election year turn that's typical historically, but I think there's something more. You hit it earlier. We're talking about a gun issue related directly to schools.
And they didn't feel they could vote against it.
When the left has been saying we don't want more police officers on campuses because they have guns.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It is amazing. Getting to the debate last night, quite a few articles written about how the Republican debates not focusing on the biggest problem that we have, which is the upcoming debt. And what's going to happen. And it goes, Republicans won't touch it right now. And we've talked about this, one of the reasons why, because it's a negative. And I know there's been a lot of criticism. You know, I know that the conservative caucus, we need to cut. The fact is the Democrats know. The American public says they want to cut, but don't.
Right.
And I didn't hear. Now, I've had a cherry pick because I was sleeping during the debate. But I don't know if there was a question on the debt.
I'm looking through the transcript. Chris Christie brought up debt. I'm trying to find the question that led up to that. Okay. It was about the question was regarding the spending deal. And then Chris Christie talked about the national debt. He threw Trump in. During the Trump administration, they added $7 trillion, $7 trillion in national debt. I'm trying to go further than Christie's comments here, and I don't. It's not anywhere actually.
Well, I'm reading this from National Review because there were a number of publications that said if the Republicans aren't going to bring it up, who brings it up? Well, if you bring it up, do you lose? Because if you tell the truth about the fiscal situation, Americans know then you have to cut, and they're not going to vote for cutting. If the national debt comes up, this is before the debate, I fully expect someone on the stage to demagogue to the issue and pledge to balance the budget by cutting foreign aid. Opinion polls consistently report that Americans believe foreign aid is in the range of 25% of the federal budget. Mm-hmm. In reality, it is less than 1%. It's something that we've talked about all the time. And they go through all of the, statistics here in this article about the problem that we have, and goes on to talks about the fact that, and Trump was talking about it last night, he's not going to cut Social Security. He's not going to cut, Medicare. Something has to happen. Either the costs skyrocket and they go into now, if we're going to remain in inflation for a while, we're not going to go back down.
No.
We're not going to go back down to zero rates. So interest on the debt's through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to accelerate. Because Jamie Dimon, if he's right on the Fed and the move, most believe that the Fed will move at least another 1/4 of a point on interest rates by the end of the year. But analysts say that we could see the average 30-year mortgage at 8%. You know, the target range is somewhere around 5.5%, I think, on the Fed rate. But if they get close to 6, or even past that, Jamie Dimon's suggesting they really need to accelerate it.
And you read here, you'll hear the argument mostly from Democrats that the enormous debt is a sign we need to raise taxes, but tax revenue is higher than ever, and they go through all the statistics. Now, here's the one thing that they do here in this National Review column that we did. Those rich men north of Richmond are, in fact, paying plenty in taxes, and it's not really the poor who are taxed to no end, as the song goes. I believe we are the only conservative show that went after that song as being, we understand the populism of it, but went after it as being totally inaccurate as to the situation actually going on in this country. And, they go on. There was a time when Barack Obama ran for president in 2008 that he said President George Bush was irresponsible and unpatriotic for adding $4 trillion to the national debt over an 8-year span. Then the Obama administration added $5 trillion in a 4-year span and roughly doubled the national debt over his 8 years in office. As always, presidents do not have complete control over federal spending, but they do sign the appropriation bills or, more often, the gargantuan omnibus appropriation packages. Then President Trump, aided by a Republican Congress, his first 2 years in office, started running near trillion-dollar deficits during the period of relative peace and prosperity, a deeply ominous sign. Once a country faced a genuine crisis in the form of the pandemic, the deficit exploded to $3 trillion in fiscal 2020. Note that in 2016, candidate Donald Trump pledged he would eliminate the debt, not merely the annual deficit, but the debt, the gap, the entire $19 trillion debt at the time over a span of 8 years. Not only did he not even come close, he didn't even try. Trump's idea of an effective cost-cutting measure was canceling government offices' subscriptions to the Washington Post and the New York Times. The primary driver of the country's spending deficit is entitlement programs.
Yep.
That's the truth. And we've been telling the truth
Absolutely.
for the longest time, and we've been concerned about the debt for the longest time, and even as recently as a year ago, we would have our listeners call and go, you guys worry about the debt too much, there's no problem. Now people are worried. Where's the money going to come from? Now that interest on the debt has skyrocketed because of government-caused inflation that we don't see coming down, and we're not going to get to zero rates anymore. That's gone, because in order to get there, you had to manipulate the Fed, and that's what also helped cause what? We bought our own debt, which helped create more inflation to where we are today. We've done everything wrong, and we're not, there's suffering ahead.
Right.
And I saw Trump last night. DeSantis wants to hit Social Security, wants to hit Medicare. Well, somebody's going to have to. Otherwise, your taxes will skyrocket through the roof.
Yep. Which still won't solve the problem.
Right. Something will change.
Yep.
Who knows what? But to sit there and say nothing will change because everything is fine and we'll cut foreign aid, if Republicans believe that, they're as delusional as Democrats.
Yep. Yeah,
because just like we got into the little altercation with the friendly union official of Sean Fain yesterday, claiming, I don't know anything about how it's going to run, but I have great hope that the electric vehicles, will take the auto companies to great profits and bring back the UAW. And I said, sorry, but with all due respect, you're delusional. Same thing here with the debt. 866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just scanning the morning news, and you'll be happy to know nothing on Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I
saw something that Heinz is putting out something regarding ketchup and ranch. I had no idea. It was a story. It was in a business section of one of the websites. So apparently in their little suite at the game, there was a plate that was sitting next to her in one of the pictures that had.
Okay.
And it says,
all right.
appears to be ranch. So Heinz is calling the ranch appears to be ranch. Ketchup and appears to be ranch. And they're putting it out for sale. They're going to capitalize on the whole thing.
We're doomed.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah,
doomed.
we are.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.